Hello everyone, I'm here today with a new video. This one is a flip through. I am showing you my 6x8 album that I put together from December in the Twin Cities. So my friend Robin, she had come up in October and we did a little staycation up here and I played tour guide. And then she decided to come back in December to do the holiday things that are in the area. So that's what this album is. You can see here, it's 6x8. This is an unusual one where I just bought this off clearance at some point because I liked the polka dots, and I'm not even sure what brand this is. That just says snag free. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it only has 2 rings, so it's more like the Simple Stories style or an Echo Park style than it is some of the 6 rings like an Allie Edwards or American Crafts or whatever. So that's what we're working with here. As I get started with this, you're gonna see the opening page here. I do want to say that I think for the rest of the year, once this comes out, I predominantly will be focusing on flip throughs and travel with me videos. And partly that's because I'm getting a little burned out on doing process videos. I scrap a lot, I go a lot of places, it's a lot of work. So I need a little break, and I've been having a lot of health issues. And in my travel with me video that I have posted before this, or maybe it'll come out right after, you'll see like I've just been dealing with some stuff. I mean, I've had 2 surgeries in the past 2.5 years for other things, but I was diagnosed with my first autoimmune condition at 24. So I've been dealing with this for about 25 years. Over time, I have been diagnosed with more, and now I've had even more added. I was recently diagnosed with Hashimoto's because my thyroid was completely out of whack. For how long, we don't know, because nobody thought to test it for a while. So it could have been 2 years for all I know, because they really hadn't tested it until right before I had my last surgery. So there's that. It has caused like extreme swelling on my body in multiple places. This is what I was dealing with in New York, where the exercise seemed to exacerbate it, all the walking that we did. And so that's why I was trying to go to urgent care. I ended up going to the ER when I got home. But it's just a lot to deal with, and I've switched jobs and I have a bunch of stuff going on. And so I just feel like I really need to focus on health first and kind of try to get that in as much order as I can and just pare down a little bit for the time being. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the year goes and into the new year, but for now, that's kind of what I'm thinking. All right, with all of that said, let's get into the actual flip through and the scrapping stuff. So as you can see, this is my opening page. I'm actually gonna move my light. There we go. I have an extra out light on my desk, so that helps with the shadows and things. So I used some paper and cards that I already had in my stash, just added some stickers from a sticker book that I got that was all holiday themed. And I had these numbers I could easily punch out. Like, I wanted it to be very, very simple, but yet colorful. I really wanted to have lots of non-traditional color, and I think I got that for this album. And so here, this just tells a little bit about the fact that Robin decided to come up, and really it was Robin and myself and my other friend Holly the first day, but the second day it was just me and Robin. It was Holly's birthday, she had other things to do. So you'll see kind of a mix of stuff happening here. But I love how simple this is too. I used a lot of scraps on this. This was a 4x6 card. Super easy to just plonk that on there, layer it with some stuff, and be done. And then over here, we decided to have a late breakfast / brunch as soon as Robin landed. So picked her up and then went right here. This is one of my favorite places in the Twin Cities. It's called Hazel's Northeast. So if you decide to come to the Twin Cities, I highly recommend this. Brunch is my favorite there, but really everything they do is good. Once we were done with brunch, our first holiday thing of the day was to go to the Como Conservatory to see the holiday flower show. And I will say, after I say I want non-traditional stuff, this year's display for the holidays was extremely traditional. It was very red, white, green based, whereas other years they've had pinks, and one year they even had sort of an orange tinged poinsettias. This year was very traditional, so that's what you're seeing here. So because of that, I really didn't take a ton of pictures there. It was lovely, but that really wasn't what I was after, and I think this represents what was there well enough, so that's all I chose to do. Then after that, we got in the car and we went to downtown St. Paul. So this is Landmark Center. They had it somewhat done up for the holidays. I've seen other years where it's been a lot more, but I did enjoy, you know, the different trees they had in the different old courtrooms. Each one kind of had a different color and theme. So like here, this was very blue because of the ceiling and everything. But then over here, this was more traditional green. And then we decided to go across the street. Directly across from there is the St. Paul Hotel, which is a very old fancy hotel. If you remember the movie Jingle All the Way, part of that was filmed there, and then the cast stayed there. And it's very old school, very elegant, very refined. And so I just wanted a couple of pictures from the lobby, and then I felt like this card really worked well with how this was decorated. Then here we just chose to go into the Central Library, which is also in downtown St. Paul. They weren't really decorated for Christmas, but it's a stunning building all on its own. And so I wanted to get some pictures of the ceiling, and I wanted Robin to see it since she hadn't. Some stairway stuff here. So I threw that in there even though it's not holiday. And then after that, again, very close, I think within not even 3 blocks. It's probably like 2 blocks. There was this place we saw on Instagram that is an antique place down there, and I've heard of it but never gone in. Holy cow, do they do it up for the holidays. So this was a business card, and I just slapped an extra sticker on there so you can see the address right there. And then again, I thought this was kind of a nice little thing to add in that very much fit the feel and the vibe of the place. And now here we are in the store. So lots of Christmas ornaments, but then they also have other antiques, but they kind of switch things out for the holiday, change it back once it's over. So it was very done up. You can see the wreaths and the lights and all that stuff. Here are some more just figurines and things they had. Just the way they chose to decorate was really well done. I appreciated it. And it was fun to use some of these things. Like I've had these 3x8 cards for a while and never used them because I generally don't do a lot of holiday scrapping. But I was able to use them here, which is fantastic. All right, we'll continue on this page. I had to take my sweater off. This is part of what I'm dealing with too, is like, I get overheated with all these thyroid things and whatever. So now I'm sweater free. I can continue on. But here were some ornaments I thought that were really cute. But I mean, look at the prices on some of these. Like this one isn't too bad. But like, who is going to pay over $100 for this hippo? It's cute, but you know, I'm not going to pay that. Here's some more items from inside the store. I mean, these are gorgeous. And I loved being able to scrap them. I liked being able to pull out the gold and brown tones here with little pops of blue, which was fun. I liked that I had some embellishments there and ephemera that would work. So got to do that. When we were done with that, we were still in downtown St. Paul, but we needed to get back in the car and repark because we needed to go to Union Depot. That is our train station, and most of the major bus lines also leave from there. So like when I take the train places, this is where I leave from. This is my home station. So you can see they had the front of it done up for the holiday. And inside they had this little setup with 3 openings. Like, well, that's perfect. There are 3 of us. We have to do it. Luckily, there was a nice stranger there who took our photo for us. And I love it. It's cute. And I just added minimal embellishments here because there was so much color going on that I really didn't need to do a lot. But again, I love that it's non-traditional. This aqua color, perfect. Got to use some fun stuff. And then attached to Union Depot, they do a European holiday market every year. And it's gotten bigger every year. I think we're on 6 or 7 years now that they've been doing it. So we decided, what the heck? We'll go out there. Now, with that said, it was extremely cold. Holly and I are somewhat used to that. We live here. Robin was not used to it. So we had to kind of go through it pretty quickly because she was so cold she would prefer to be inside. So this was more of a quick stop. But you can see some of the things they had. Again, I kept the embellishments pretty minimal so that it would focus on the photos. But we did run into Santa Claus. So we all got a picture with Santa to make our holidays perfect. So again, I kept it very simple. I happen to have this. I'm like, well, that's perfect. I don't even really have to write anything. This is self-explanatory. And then just some more pictures from at the market. They had this one where couples could pose. I just thought this was pretty. And then I had this to match, which was awesome. And then I just threw on a little nutcracker sticker that I had. And then here are just some more photos from the different booths. I love this booth. I actually years ago bought a bulb here, an ornament for my mother-in-law. So that's where it came from. But I just thought they were so pretty, just laid out like that. And then this talks about, okay, we're done at the market. Now our next thing was we had tickets to a drive-through light show that evening. And really close to where that starts, there was a pop-up bar called Blitzen's Bar. And so we thought, all right, if we're out there and we make it in time, let's go in and see what it's like. And we did make it. So you can see here, it was like Christmas threw up. I mean, look at that ceiling. We didn't end up going there and drinking or anything. We just took pictures and walked out because we're like, you know what? We're going to a holiday bar later tonight. We don't need to do this twice. And wanted to be ready for our time slot to see the lights. But again, minimal embellishments. I chose to just do this like as an insert rather than put it in a page protector. So I added those right on there, which was fine. And then I had this card already and I thought, well, that's perfect because it's got all these different colors and they're all happening in here. So it worked out well. And then here I have several layouts that are from the actual lights. So it was called Magic of Lights 2025. It was in Eagan, Minnesota. That is a suburb of St. Paul. So if you're here again in the winter, that's an option for you. And I tried to keep these very simple. Basic card, another Nutcracker sticker that I had. And then I did a couple of collages here because I needed to cut down. I took so many photos. There's no way they were all going in there. It's like I didn't do every one of the 12 days of Christmas. That would have been too much. But here I made the template, printed it out, and then I just slapped some washi on there and one little phrase sticker, and that's it. And then here, I loved this. It came out a little blurry when I enlarged it to a 4x8, but I still like it, so I decided to use it. But I just loved the colors that were in it. And again, very non-traditional, but it was one of the light displays that was featured. And then I just chose some simple phrase strips and put those on there. And then here they had a whole circus area. And so I grabbed 2 photos from there that I really liked. Again, very simple elements here. This is just a sticker that I had. Same here. I think they're actually from the same sticker book. That's all I did. I didn't add anything else. Then here are some views from the car. So you can see this, we had to pass through this light tunnel through part of it. And then they had this kind of fun thing that it was quite large and it worked for horizontal photos. I thought, all right, well, I could use that somewhere. And then here I just added little stars there to match the colors in the photos, kept it very simple. And then at the end we did get out because there was a little like holiday village area that you could walk around in, but we wanted to make it fast because we knew because it was so cold we weren't going to make it long. But here you can see they had this up there, beautiful trees. So I just slapped that little piece of ephemera on there. And then here they also had this. I mostly like the colors here. I loved that it was kind of purple and blue and green, which you don't often see. And then because this was partially on the complex where the Vikings store and practice facilities are, they actually had the store open because I'm sure they knew people were coming through. So my friend went in and actually put on the Vikings hat, and I'm like, if you do that, I'm going to scrap it. So here it is. But we had fun because Robin's son also loves the Vikings, even though they live in St. Louis. So we shopped around, and she actually found something and brought him home a gift. So it worked out well. And then there's just another little note about that and what it was like outside. This was another part of the little courtyard. And I actually repurposed this page protector. I had made this for something else, later took the album apart, and I was able to reuse it. So all I had to do was drop in the top part with stuff that matched, and it worked out very well. So when we were done there, then it was time to go to downtown Minneapolis. So we had like a 25 minute drive and then parking, but we wanted to go to this event at the Emery Hotel, and it's called Down Through the Chimney. And we've been to some other holiday themed things in our time that were, some were good and some were not good at all. So we were nervous. This was excellent. I'm not a big holiday person, but I rather enjoyed it. Do I need to do it again? Probably not. I would go if someone else wanted to go, but it was fun. So here you can see I did this as a template. I dropped in a digital card. This is a digital element. I added stickers, but really that's all it needed. because everything else was in the photos. And I did another template. Again, I had so many photos I was trying to pare down and keep it under control with how much I included. So here I just dropped in some kind of more random photos that didn't really go with anything else. And then I just added these elements. This is done digitally, so that was super easy. This little postcard they had about writing a letter to Santa. So I took one and then I did my journaling on the card and added this piece of ephemera. And then this, I'm gonna have to move a little bit. This was, once we were seated, we did have some drinks and some snacks. You can see the menu. I loved this card with all the different colors. And then there you can see, we had drinks, some little snacks. I love this photo. Love how this turned out. And then see that little clip-on gingerbread man? He was so cute. He actually got used in here, which is great. So here's my gingerbread man that I was mentioning. And this guy was just a worker there. And he was like doing all kinds of crazy poses for people. So I said, you know what? Can I take your picture too? Do you mind? And he said, you go for it. So I did. So he makes an appearance in here. These are some more photos. They had like all these different rooms and alcoves and things set up, decorated in different ways. So here's another one here. I just loved kind of the whimsical vibe, so I took photos of that. And then they had some things with the Grinch, and when our waitress took a photo, this happened to pop up behind us on the screen, so I thought, well, that's perfect, because then I can use some Grinchy stuff too. And yet more photos. I wanted to get a selfie in front of the actual name, and then I got one with all three of us as well, but I wanted that one for sure. And then I just put in some fun things that's from Home Alone. And then this, I just had an extra photo where I did close-up of all the ornaments and then did a very colorful sticker. And then here, these were just some fun inserts. Again, this was a photo that didn't really go with anything else, so I just made it work on its own. And then here they had this ceiling all done up in one of the bar areas that was really fun. And so I thought Nogaholics Anonymous went well with that. And then here's the picture of all three of us in front of this before we left. They just had a random chimney with stockings. I thought, well, that's cute. And then here, I am not a fan of banners like this. I don't generally like them when I see them on stickers or as embellishments or whatever, but I actually got to use one here because it matched this. It kind of looked like it with the ornaments. So I thought, why not? And that's the end of day 1. So you've seen all of that, and now when I come back, we will have day 2. I hope you'll come back for that. Thanks for watching.